Hi everyone, my name is Kayla and welcome back to K's Hidden Shelf, where we talk about books. I've been gone for a while. I was not planned. Sorry about that. Originally, I was going to take a week off because life was chaotic. I was taking part and helping to host the March Mavericks readathon happening over at the Keymark Discord. And I was also trying to plan things in behind the scenes for not just the channel, but for events happening in the Discord later on. And then I got sick and it just all went downhill from there. I'm still at the tail end of this cold or head thing, whatever it is. And so hopefully this doesn't sound too awful. My voice has been on and off over the last few days, but let's dive in and catch up. What have you guys been reading? I want to know. It was so fun over the course of March to read with everyone, chat with what everyone was reading about, and to be able to see so many amazing books. Our team, Team Flawless, came in third place, which is amazing. And here are some stats on the screens because I don't remember them offhand, but overall, I would say the readathon was a huge success. We had so many people who enjoyed it, and we had so many books and reviews that were read and written as a result of it, which is always amazing. So, what have you been reading over the last month and a bit, and what was your standout read? For myself, I managed to read 5 books in March for the readathon and 1 secret book that I can't tell you about just yet, so stay tuned for the future for that. But the first book that I read, I believe I finished anyway, was Guard of the Garden by Z.S. Diamante. Now, I read quite a bit of cozy fantasy, and I adored this. I would say this is the strongest cozy fantasy that I've read. And what I mean by that is that the plotline, the character arcs feel well grounded in real life events, mixed with fantasy in such a way that it is the best plotline, best character development that I've read in cozy fantasy. The story itself is a wholesome journey of healing and self-discovery following the main character named Holt. Now, Holt was a soldier and he was in battle and unfortunately was injured in battle and unable to continue serving. This had been Holt's dream, to serve his people as a warrior, and that had all been taken away from him in one fateful battle. The story itself follows Holt as he goes through a new adventure in life, essentially, but also has to cope with very real struggles of PTSD, of physical injuries, and readjusting to an entirely new life. And that is where the grounded part comes in, because PTSD, soldiers coming back from service and having to work through all of this while reintegrating into a normalized life, it just adds such a layer of depth, but allows you that escape at the same time through the cozy fantasy vibe of it, that it made for the perfect read for me. And I highly, highly recommend it. I just got news that book 2 will be releasing as well. So that is in the works, because I thought this was just going to be a one and done thing. But no, we have a book 2. So I am very excited about that. If you love cozy fantasy, you're looking for more. If you're looking for something that deals with a bit more of the difficulties of overcoming PTSD and soldiers coming back, absolutely check this out. I highly, highly recommend it. I also got the character's name wrong. His name is Felton. I'm reading a book right now with a character named Holt, so that's entirely on me. After that, I ended up binging this in pretty well a single sitting. The Last Gifts of the Universe by Rory August, or Riley August, I believe is her name now. This was originally published as indie and it got picked up by a trad publisher, and it's been on my TBR since release. So I finally got to it. Now, this is a short book at about 203 pages, and it basically explores the concepts of death and grief and the fight and struggle to survive amidst it all. So this is a sci-fi following a dying universe. You follow a sibling duo who are essentially archivists in a way. They travel the universe with their cat Pumpkin, and they are trying to find signs of life. They're trying to find people anyone out in the universe aside from humans, from Earth. And every planet they've gone to has been only remnants of a long gone society, a long gone people. And they're not the only ones looking. There are competitors, companies that are better, well armed, have more money and resources for their archivists, and they're on the hunt as well. And so when Scout and her brother and their cat Pumpkin stumble across what is hopefully an answer to what has been killing everything in the universe and how to stop it, it's taken out right from under their nose by this competing company, and it starts a race. And as the race goes, we get flashbacks into the main character, Scout's life, in addition to a little bit of a long forgotten history in the archives that she was able to recover from a dying alien race. And so the themes and the story are immaculately put together. I personally would have liked a little bit more from the story. I feel like it was a little light for my liking or lacking something. It was still a really good read, though. If you are struggling with grief, if you're struggling with a battle to survive against all odds, I think this is a great story with a fantastic message. It's short as well, and the audiobook was fantastic. So if you're looking for a sci-fi that fits all of those boxes for you, definitely check this out. Like I said, for me, it was just lacking a little something, and I can't quite put my finger on it. But it just felt a little too predictable for me, a little too safe, if you will. And that kind of took me out of the story a bit. But overall, I still love the themes and how it articulated those concepts throughout the story. So really well done in that aspect. And here's hoping my voice doesn't die out for the remainder of this video. I also read The Winter Queen's Tale by Naomi P. Cohen. Now, I had read one of Naomi's books previously, really enjoyed it. I had fun with it. And I was going to read the arc for The Winter Queen's Tale, but unfortunately it came out at Christmas time, which is never a good time to accept arcs, I've learned. And so I have finally gotten to it. It also has an audiobook, so I went ahead and did an immersion read with that. And this is a retelling of the Winter Queen's story, and it follows a young girl and her brother as they are swept away from their home into the land of fairy. And her brother is being held at the Winter Queen's castle, and this young girl has to set out and try and save him. I'll be the first to admit that I love fairy tales that are old, the style that is dark and creepy and eerie and foreboding. The fairies that will sooner kidnap a human rather than take them out on a fancy picnic and help them with their chores, if that makes sense. These are the kind of stories that, or influences you get with the Winter Queen's Tale, because we're delving into the Winter Queen's story and how she came about and where all of it balances in the human world with winter, famine, and humans' need to try and appease the Winter Queen. All of it is beautifully told in this. How it's navigated through a young woman as well, I think gives it a fresh perspective that I absolutely loved. And all the while Neve, this young girl, is trying to travel across the land north to save her brother, to help him, he is locked away in the Queen's court, which is whispering and plotting behind the scenes. So all of it is on a tight deadline. There are obstacles that are both inhuman and very human that both of these characters need to overcome. And I love the direction that went with this story. So definitely check it out. If you're looking for an old style fairy tale telling, a retelling of the Winter Queen's Tale, this is a perfect one. And I ended up reading this on a weekend that we had an ice storm. So it was perfect timing for me as well. Next, I dove into Nettle and Bone by T. Kingfisher. Now, Kingfisher is an author I've been wanting to read for some time, and this one has been on my TBR for a long while. I'd had recommendations on where to start with Kingfisher, but Nettle and Bone has always been the one I've come back to, and so that's just where I started, and I adored it. I loved the eerie, creepy vibe of it, mixed with those cozy vibes as well. It was just a perfect balance of the two, and I absolutely loved the story. The characters are endearing. Think of it like a creepy, eerie, almost horror, borderline horror fairy tale, blended with a cozy fantasy. So you have the endearing kind of motley crew of a side cast who are trying to help Mara. And her goal in all of this, just to be clear, this isn't your typical fairy tale, is to kill a prince. And it's just beautifully, beautifully done. I loved the cast. I loved the direction of the story, the tone of it all. Like I said, it was basically like a creepy horror, cozy fantasy, which ended up working out really well. And then you have all of these things that have to fall in place for Mara as she goes on this quest to kill a prince. And all of it is just, it never felt like convenience. It never felt like a plot hole or an issue around those natures. It just all beautifully fell into place and made complete sense. So I really appreciated that, in addition to all of the characters and Mara's own character growth and development that you get throughout the story. If you're wondering why I say this is kind of eerie horror, cozy fantasy, the reason I say that is because there are scenes that are darker. There are scenes that I would contribute to maybe not crazy in-depth or dark horror that some people might be reading, but more of a light horror mixed with those eerie, dark fairy tale vibes. And the cozy section comes in with the side cast and the overall banter and tone between them all. On her quest, Mara is joined by the Grave Witch, a reluctant fairy godmother, a strapping former knight, and a chicken possessed by a demon, along with a bone dog. That is just the perfect blending. It all comes together beautifully. That's the best way to put it, I think, at this point. Go read it if you haven't. Keeping in line with T. Kingfisher, because why not? I ended up getting Thornhedge and reading this. It's a novella. It's only about 116 pages, so quite short. Read it in a single sitting, for example. And this was actually quite sweet. Completely different tone, I would say, to the Nettle and Bone standalone, but this was lighter. It still had that old fairy tale vibe to it, but mixed with more hopeful modern day nursery rhymes and stories, if that makes sense. In this, we follow a character called Toadling, and she has lived for a long time, and she has protected a castle, hoped that through the ages, people would just forget about it. It's been covered in thorn hedges, and she's tried to hide it, tried to deter people from coming to it. But one fateful day, a knight? Is it a knight? Yes, a knight comes to the hedge and starts asking questions and starts wanting to explore. And from there, you have Toadling's interactions with the knight, the reveal of what is in this castle that is so important to hide. This knight has heard that there is a curse that needs breaking, but Toadling is determined to keep the curse in place. And the story that follows after is both bingeable and moving, if that makes sense. It is heartwarming, it is heartbreaking, it is moving, and you can binge it in a single sitting, but it has that light nature to it, that lighter storytelling to it, that I would say it doesn't make a full 5 stars, but it is still a must read if you're looking for something light, if you're looking for a palate cleanser, for example, if you're looking for something that blends the old and new styles of fairy telling in a beautifully heartbreaking and heartwarming way, then yes, this is definitely one to pick up and try out. But I had a lot of fun with it, and I want to read the physical again now, because looking at it, I didn't have the physical at the time that I read this. It just arrived this morning, but looking at the physical copy, it is so cute. So yeah, there's, it's not a full illustration edition, but it is absolutely an endearing story. I had a good time with it, and I think last month, because of everything that was going on, I ended up reading quite a few more books that were lighter standalones or shorter. And sometimes you just have to do that, because the other 2 books that I ended up reading since my last update were definitely not. And I thoroughly love them. So we're going to talk about them now. The last 2 I read were by Shauna Lawless: The Children of Fighting Gods and Men and The Words of Kings and Prophets. I read both of these books, the first book in the readathon, the second book right after the readathon ended because I needed to know what happened next. This is a fantasy historical fiction, I would say, set in Ireland or in around Ireland, definitely melded in with their folklores and mythology. And if you are the type of reader who loves historical fiction mixed with your fantasy and legends, and you're looking for something in a different culture, this is one to check out. It has a lot of political scheming. You follow two main POVs throughout the first two books. You do get a new POV in book 2, I believe, actually 1 or 2. Two main POVs. Let's focus on that for book 1. And you follow two women on two completely opposite sides of an old war. And these two are long-lived beings, Fomorians and the Tuatha De Duana. I'm probably pronouncing that terribly, I'm sorry. But you follow these two beings who have been on the opposite sides of a long-standing war in history, so much to the point where their people are now myth and old legend to the humans that live in the world, in Ireland and across the seas, as the new religion, Christianity, has now, Christianity or Catholicism? Christianity, probably, I think it is, comes to their shores. So with this transition of religion in this period of, I believe it's AD 90 something, AD 981. So we're looking back way in time into the struggles of these kingdoms and these two women who are thrust in a time of war and the struggle for peace, if they can find it. So this has been utterly engrossing is the best way I can put this. This series has entirely captured my attention, so much to the point that I was halfway through book 1 when I bought book 2. And when I was through book 2, I just immediately bought book 3. I didn't care that it is a hardcover and not a matching paperback because the paperback isn't released yet. And I've already started the novella Dreams of Sorrow in the meantime because I was waiting for book 3 to get here, and there are some companion novellas that go in between them. So this has just been the kind of read I've been looking for quite some time. The series that I just want to binge and completely immerse myself in. The magic, the characters, their arcs, the payoffs of it all, and the infuriating character that exists in this that needs his own hate fan club. Absolutely. It's just been fantastic. So I will likely be doing a more in-depth review of this later on the channel. But for the meantime, if you have not checked out this series, I can definitely see where the love comes from it or for it. And I just can't recommend it enough at this point. I think part of why I love this as well is not just the setting, the storytelling, but these two characters who are thrust into something that is far bigger than them. And being women in this time period is not an easy thing. And the author doesn't gloss over that either. And I appreciate that because it's so easy to gloss over a woman's role in history, especially in such a time where women were traded for marriage. They were meant to keep the house and the home, and that slavery was a real thing throughout our histories. So yeah, this covers so much of history, and it doesn't gloss over it. It covers the themes really, really well, and it blends it into character arcs, even in the side casts, that are really well done. So I'm thoroughly enjoying this. I really recommend it, and I am continuing with it. Absolutely. As for what I'm currently reading, like I mentioned, I am reading Dreams of Sorrow by Shauna Lawless. This is a novella that goes between books 2 and 3. There is another novella that I'll probably be starting right after I'm done that one as well. And I'm also currently reading on audiobook and physical Unbound, which is Songs of Chaos, Book 2, and this is by Michael R. Miller. I really enjoyed Ascendant. I've been meaning to come back to this series a couple of times, and this time I picked it up, it finally hit. I'm a mood reader, so that happens all the time, and it's really annoying when it does. But yes, I am only a few chapters back into this, really enjoying being back with Holt, like I had tried to say earlier, was just completely wrong book. But yes, I'm enjoying being back with Holt and Ash, and I'm excited to see where their story goes from here. So I would love to know, what have you read over the last month and a half? Do any of these sound interesting to you? Have you read them already? What were your thoughts? I would love to hear from you. As always, thank you so much for your support, for watching, and as always, take care of yourselves.